Let's say hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down, y'all.
Hunker down.
Hunker down. Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
Hunker down.
That's right, brothers and sisters. You just heard Bad Street, which means that we are down a hunker this week.
The Mardi Gras machine, the monster, it ate Alli.
It lowered her immune system and had her down. She's bed down. So it's just going to be me and Jeff. And if you've listened to some of our earlier episodes, you know how these things tend to go. We ramble on and we drink a lot. So if you're willing to come along with us on this ride, then sit back and enjoy episode 8.5. I am Varg Vargas, at Varg Vargas on Twitter, and a lot of other things spread across the internet galaxy. I'm here with at Skooks, Pants, Jeff Bostic, and we are here to talk about the post-martal environment that we're in right now.
Is that a word? Post-martal?
No.
Did you misspeak, or was that a thing that you were trying to
I was trying to think of a way to describe to you why my house, Hogshead Studio, which is where we're coming from tonight.
In beautiful
Hogshead
downtown
Jesus.
Leonidas / Hollygrove / Carrollton, wherever the hell we are.
Apricot.
Okay, beautiful downtown Apricot.
And I just said, hey, my apartment's in a little bit of post-marital distress, so don't freak out.
No, I think that everybody can relate to that. I mean, what is today? Today's Thursday?
Ash Thursday.
Yeah, Ash Thursday. Mardi Gras was Tuesday, as it often is, and I don't think that...
In some cities, I bet it's Saturday.
Yeah, it might be.
I bet it's Saturday.
I don't think that... I don't think that everybody's house is completely spick and span by this point. Now, I know that there's people who, get up, first thing on Wednesday morning and just, clean the whole house. But I know I didn't get to that this year.
That's disgusting.
Cleaning the house is disgusting?
Waking up in the morning on Ash Wednesday and cleaning the house.
Yeah, it's not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, you want to make eggs or something.
Right.
So we're going to just debrief the entire time, and it's going to maybe go on, but it's going to be funny no matter what, because I know Skooks does it right, and I certainly do too. And he has a more traditional approach to Mardi Gras, whereas I am kind of like wild and all over the map.
Is that not the more traditional approach, though? Like being wild and over the map?
Yeah, you follow the crews, go to all the parades, wear your pearlish shirt out on the route. I'm sorry, you don't do that. I'm sorry.
I don't have a damn pearlish shirt. Actually, you know what? I did. I costumed this year on Mardi Gras Day.
Oh.
I'm that asshole who just goes out in his Saints jersey.
Yes.
I didn't do that this year. I had a leftover Mardi Gras costume from one of our Toth marches this year, like one of those big purple garish things that you would just if you were riding on a float, you would wear.
Interesting. Well, you made a little effort, bro.
I had that. I even had a hat. I had a little Toth hat on, and I looked, as I guess Irene Riley would say, I came in looking like a Mardi Gras.
Well, whatever possessed you?
I don't know. I was bored.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So put the thing on.
Sheer boredom led Jeff to adorn himself.
Boredom is a great motivating factor during Carnival. I don't know if people really harness the power of boredom when they're...
I think in some small towns, murders happen because of boredom.
Is that right?
I think so, yeah. So it is definitely a motivating factor. So, and also, Jeff wants to talk a little bit about some budget hearings first. So, I'm sorry to get y'all all excited and hot and bothered about Mardi Gras stories, but we have to have this first little interlude where Jeff talks about politics.
Well, okay. So, I don't really want to dwell on this, particularly because Alli is I think she must have eaten too many Mardi Gras beads or something, so she's not.
They are toxic.
She's not healthy. I don't really want to exclude her from the stimulating political discussion, but so much politics has happened in the last couple of weeks while we have been at Carnival that I really didn't want to let it all slip, under the radar. A
whole damn election happened.
Right now, as we are speaking, Donald Trump is in Baton Rouge throwing some kind of a fit.
I was reading about it a little bit on the Twitter, and yeah, it seems like he's doing his thing up there.
And the Democrats are debating right now. We're missing that. I'm going to watch that later. Today, the governor just took a few like half an hour on television to tell everyone that we're all going to die or something.
Yeah, we're fucked.
We're out of money, and they're beginning the special session of the legislature on Sunday, and they have to fix two budget holes. They have to fix next year's $2 billion budget hole.
Ooh, that's big for a state.
That's especially one this size,
right?
But before they do that, they have to also fix the now estimated $943 million deficit for the remainder of this fiscal year. And they have 5 months to figure out how to do that. And that's why they have to go into special session on Sunday. And they're already arguing over how to do it. And if you follow anything that happened, any of the events from the beginning of the governor's term, they have already split into very almost polarized camps of Republicans and Democrats, which is kind of the first time that's happened in Louisiana for a long time. The Republicans now control the legislature more or less, and obviously the governor is a Democrat, and they're already kind of posturing with one another over who's going to take the brunt of the blame for the very bad things that are going to happen regardless of what they do.
It's a blame Jindal situation, isn't it?
Well,
blame Bush, same shit.
For anyone who's been paying attention, it's certainly a blame Jindal situation. I mean, the last 7 budgets have been, smoke and mirrors type of things, spending one-time money for things that we can't afford to pay later, privatizing all the hospitals, doing a lot of things that make no sense long-term fiscally. And a lot of those, even John Kennedy tonight in his Republican response, which is another strange thing to talk about, but he said the chickens are coming home to roost. And this
Jindal's
is
chickens.
Jindal's chickens. So we're having Jindal's chickens now for dinner. And there's not going to be enough chickens to go around for everyone's pot.
What does
apparently.
that phrase mean? The chickens are coming home to roost. Can y'all holler back at the Hunger Downcast and tell us what that phrase means? Somebody Google that.
Mr. Language Person.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to dwell too much on it, but I did want to say that all of those things are going on right now. It's going to be an interesting session. The governor wants to fix the immediate budget hole with a couple of really uncomfortable things, like a 1 penny increase in the sales tax. There's probably going to be an increase in the cigarette tax.
No problem there.
There's a whole if you want to go to NOLA.com, one of our favorite reporters, Julia O'Donoghue, has written an article back in January called 9 tax increases Governor John Bel Edwards proposes. And you can look through those, and she pretty much breaks down all the different things that may come up in the special session. The special session is happening because in this year they can't do tax increases in the regular session, so they have to come with they have to work on the budget now, and they have to do it with some things that are uncomfortable that they can pass now that would raise a lot of money immediately. So that's what they're going to be fighting over in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be an ugly fight because it's not going to be. They're not really in a mood to work together. They're in the mood to really kind of make sure that whatever bad thing happens, the other side gets blamed for it. And tonight's little bit of theater was the beginning of that. And I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it because it just happened. But I did want to acknowledge that it happened because it's going to be something we're going to talk about next time we
tune in
Yeah.
to the next Hunker Downcast for wonky shit
from
Jeff
from Baton Rouge
and Alli and my attempts to sort of lighten it.
Okay, so I'll not trouble you anymore with that, and instead we really wanted to get down to the business of recapping Carnival season.
Right, and when last we left y'all, I think Crew de Vue had already happened, and then we have to move now into the next. We're going to try and go chronologically about this, and then afterwards we're going to answer some questions that were sent to us on the Twitters, and we're going to speak about a CD that one of you guys came by my gallery and dropped off, and we're going to find out what that was all about. But let's talk about the weekend before the coup d'etat Endymion Bacchus weekend.
Okay, so
which for me, I was in the Chewbacchus.
I'm having trouble. Yeah, so we left off before Chewbacchus weekend. We left off between Crew de Vue and the first weekend of parades and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
These guys don't even know what happened.
I think they all know what happened. But anyway, so where are we going to start with this?
I can start with Chewbacchus because that's where I peaked. I think this Mardi Gras because first of all, I didn't expect it to be that fabulous or anything. I was going with the crew of Ragnarok, some buddies of mine, and they've done some pretty amazing floats on Mardi Gras Day before. Some horses and those Trojan horses and the Dia de los Muertos horses that were wandering around the quarter. They did those, and I really wasn't super interested in rolling, although I haven't rolled in Crew de Vue for a couple years, and I did miss it a little bit when I saw it go by. I was like, I kind of miss that kind of walking parade and being in it and being excited by it.
It's the part where you're kind of participating and being part of the show.
Yeah, you can walk right up on people and talk to them, and it's very exciting and exuberant and the closest thing to being a rock star that I'll ever experience in my life. So I was missing that, and also they were doing a Flash Gordon theme, the 1980, 1979 Queen soundtracked movie, which I was a latchkey kid when I was growing up, so they would play it at like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
I was super excited about that.
Definitely one of those movies that most of us saw come on whenever 1,000 times.
Of our age, though.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit older, a little bit younger, they have no idea about this movie. And
about the 1980 Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that's what our crew was doing as a theme.
Okay.
And I've always loved the actor Brian Blessed, who plays Prince Voltan. So I spent, I don't know how many months. He's a Hawkman, I might add.
Hawkman!
He's boisterous. He has punched a polar bear in his life. He helped a woman deliver a baby in a park and bit through the umbilical cord.
The actor?
The actor, yes.
The actor bit through an umbilical cord.
Yeah, he was
live...
in the park. He was walking through a park and he came upon a woman struggling to give birth, and he helped her.
Where?
This is in London or England or where he's from, back in the 60s.
Okay.
He's also survived a plane crash. He punched a polar bear in the face.
He punched a polar bear in the face?
Yes, he was camping in the Arctic, and a polar bear stuck his head into the tent, and he punched him in the face to get him away. So, and he plays a character, Prince Voltan, and I got to be him in the Chewbacchus parade.
Okay, so you were costumed not as this actor who punched a polar bear and chewed off an umbilical cord, but as the actual character from Flash Gordon.
In Flash Gordon, who was pretty boisterous and, oh, come on, Flash! Yes, this way! Dive! Who wants to live forever?
Yes, he was a very Falstaffian
impetuous boy! He had a big beard. He's a great guy. He could play me in a movie. Mm-hmm. I would love it. I would be honored.
Okay.
So I'm dressed as him. I got a wrestling singlet on. I got big wings on.
Bears.
And I don't actually at this point know how big Chewbacchus is because I've only seen it once, and it was on St. Claude, way out in the neighborhoods, and it was really slow.
You were in the parade and you don't know how big it was.
I didn't know how big it was.
Oh, you didn't know before?
I didn't know how many people came and watched it because I'd never seen it on Frenchman.
Was it a big crowd?
And stuff. Yeah, it was a big ass crowd.
Mm.
So a friend of mine, I drink a couple beers. A friend of mine gives me a little bite of a brownie. Okay, he hands me a little bite of the brownie.
Okay,
and I eat enough of it, what I thought was portioned, but he looked at me like, and I was like, and I just walked off. Well, come to find out,
wait, this was like, was it Little Debbie or was it like, was it the kind
no,
that you?
It was some that a friend of his had made in college.
Oh, homemade brownies.
Yeah,
oh, that's nice. Like from
had
mom?
a lot of sugar in them.
Sugar.
They had a lot of sugar in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So I ate too much of it.
You had too much sugar.
I took too much.
Okay.
So, but I didn't realize that I had. He looked. I kind of figured it out by the look he gave me. That I was like, oh.
He was afraid you were going to have some kind of a diabetic.
A sugar high.
Yeah.
I did too.
Okay.
I got really sugar high.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't really start hitting to me until like I rounded the corner at Esplanade. And then I just was like, ooh, a lot of things happened.
A lot of things.
I was wearing a wrestling singlet, and then I wanted to wear it like kind of bare, but I didn't know what to do with my underwear, so I just stuffed my underwear into my crotch. So
Okay.
I was walking down Esplanade in this wrestling singlet.
Oh, just full of brownies.
Just completely loaded on sugar high brownies, right?
Right.
And I've got this huge eggplant in my
Fudge,
pants, and I'm just going up there because Chewbacchus is kind of like a family parade now because it's got like science fiction themed.
That's why they have brownies.
It's
Family,
something-
whole family likes brownies.
That's a little bit of the crossing of the atmospheres.
Okay.
Is that like a lot of kids come to see it, and there's maybe some definitely drunk people.
Yeah.
And some people with some sugar highs going also.
Okay, so
And
family.
I'm walking down Esplanade and I'm just going, "Whoa!" dancing and everything in a wrestling singlet stuffed. And I'm having a very good time.
Oh, okay,
Like,
sounds
I
like
realized at one point, I'm like, whoa, I'm having a lot of fun here. Right? The one thing about that parade, though, is that there wasn't a lot of barricades or anything like that. It ran straight through a neighborhood. So
Right.
it got really crowded several times.
it. Yeah.
And during one point, it was like I was looking around. I had just seen that 30 for 30 about the Hillsborough disaster, the soccer crash. So ever since then,
The
I'm just
Hillsborough
afraid.
disaster, 30 for 30, is about the soccer, where the soccer stadium was overloaded with fans.
Yes.
And people were actually crushed to death.
And it's horrible.
But yeah,
Like you can't watch it without being deeply.
it's a great
Moved.
It's a great documentary.
Yeah,
but
and the
it's
cover
also-
up and everything, all that's. But since
But-
I've watched it, I've had a bit of I've been
So you're
aware of crowds.
You're afraid of being crushed to death.
I'm afraid of anything that could happen when there's a big kind of crowd. Like people don't have to get crushed, but things could happen. you
Okay.
know.
And it felt like maybe this was kind of out of control.
Yeah, and it might have even had something to do with the sugar high and everything.
Yeah, okay.
So,
That's
but it was tough because the floats were almost as big as the room that they had allotted, and there wasn't barricades, and there were cars parked on these streets that we were going down.
what kind of floats? Or I mean, does every group in Chewbacca's have a float, or are they just all
Some do, yeah.
Okay.
And ours was pretty big. We did a replica of War Rocket Ajax from the Flash Gordon movies, and it was made out of a pedal pub, which is like 8 people pedaling, facing each other pedaling, and one person driving.
Yeah.
So it was a little precarious, and it had wings that kind of folded up. Anyways, it got really serious at one point, and I was like, God, man, I don't know. We're having a hard time. We're doing crowd control ourselves, and people aren't listening, and they're all drunk and stuff. Well, all of a sudden I look, and like, I don't know, 4 or 5 guys with lightsabers show up, and they go like, move, 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 get out of the way. And
The
these are guys
Jedi?
The Jedi showed up, basically, is what I thought. And I even said it to one of my friends. Oh, good. The Jedi are here.
To save you from being swallowed by the crowd.
Or
is what you're
Naboo from the Trade Federation or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But I felt like people on Naboo must have thought when the Jedi showed up there to save them.
saying. So, those were the chaperones for the parade?
Yeah, they're
just to be
called
clear?
red shirts. They ended
Okay.
up being
And they're
pretty
equipped,
drunk and sugar high themselves.
they're equipped with lasers.
They have little lightsabers that they carry.
And
stuff.
so, was anyone injured in the...
No, they started helping with crowd control, and we slowly moved our float through the neighborhoods and
Okay.
stuff. But
So
there was a lot of obstacles, and we had to push people out of the way a lot. And there was cars crossing through the route a couple times.
Really? They don't.
Yeah.
They don't stop the traffic at the.
They don't stop the traffic at the intersections, or they don't have enough people to do it.
Okay.
Or whatever. So it seemed like a little bit less police presence for Chewbacchus than other parades, which I know we talked about that last time.
No, but I kind of want to ask some questions about this. So,
Okay.
One of the things that I like about Chewbacchus and T-Rex happening on that Saturday is that, because I can't get out of Uptown because I live a block off of the Uptown route. And I would love to go down and see Chewbacchus one year, and I'm going to make plans to do it one time. But it involves making plans because you have to, get a car. You have to get out of your own neighborhood. And you don't want to move your car because you have that parking spot. And everything.
Definitely, yeah.
Anyway,
especially from where you are, you can do all of Carnival from your
right.
house.
So it makes more sense just to go out to the parade. So I go out and watch the parades, and we watch Sparta and Pygmalion that night, which are beautiful parades. But the thing that you notice about it on that Saturday night, it's a Saturday night, and the crowd there is not too overwhelming. It's not an overwhelming uptown
right.
parade route crowd. And I think that the attention that Chewbacchus is getting has tamped down the crowding of the route on St. Charles that night.
And what parade is Saturday night uptown?
It's Pygmalion in Sparta.
Are they like particularly good parades or famous parades, or do they offer something that could be unique? Or
Well, each parade is unique in its own way. It may not feel like that to the casual observer, but if you go and watch, if you go and watch every parade, in fact, I saw all of the parades uptown except for Okeanos and Mid City, and I had a very good excuse not to see those. But I saw all the rest of them, and let me see if I can tell you. Sparta and Pygmalion, they are numbers 13 and 14 out of 26 total on my rankings.
They follow each other in real life and on your list.
Yeah, they do.
Bound.
That doesn't sound impressive, but I think
for a Saturday parade,
I think they're pretty good
for
parades.
a first weekend parade.
Yeah, they're very nice. Sparta gives you kind of like that. They use flambeau, and they have more of an old line look to them, or more of a reserved look to their parade. Mm-hmm. And Pygmalion, I think that Pygmalion thinks of itself as miniature Endymion, like T Endymion almost. Like they have that procession of like maids and dukes that you find in Endymion, with the similar looking truckish floats and the giant headdresses on the maids. Okay. And then they have a couple of like signature floats with a lot of LED lights and everything. They have a jester float, and they have
so they do a lot for the beauty.
Yeah, well, and it looks garish. It looks like they're trying to be garish. It looks like Endymion's type of style, but it's very it's not anything like big ass Endymion floats. It's like little parade.
Okay.
But it's a good parade. Anyway, the point, this is way off topic, but the point of this is that it's really accessible uptown on Saturday night, which like could be a lot bigger, but it isn't. And I think it's because of the Chewbacchus thing.
Drawing people off.
Yeah. But so the reason I wanted to ask about this is because you seem to be under the impression that there wasn't a whole lot of police presence, and
it seemed a little unsupervised, yeah.
Yeah, so
there were cops and there were people doing their job and everything, but it seemed there was no clearing of the route. I think the route could have probably avoided neighborhoods and stuck to larger streets like Frenchman to maybe Elysian Fields, and then on to St. Claude from there, although I know there's some construction going on, so that's probably why we went through a neighborhood there. But the parts when we were in the neighborhood were a little rough because there was cars in the streets, and at one point there was a trailer full of wood, and some of the wood was like leaning off the trailer into the street, so like everybody from my crew had to like get over there and push the wood over like to the other side. Jeremy Abair got like peppered with some shattered glass, and that was the first event of the night in which he could have potentially been injured.
Oh my God.
There's another one later. And then, okay, here's another thing about that. Yes, I know I was on a sugar high from brownies, but when we rounded Press Street, we came down Charters by Noka and we rounded Press Street. When we rounded Press Street, I looked down and I could not see the front, the float in front of us. It was just not there. It was just us.
So the parade itself is all separated from
it was like super. Crew de Vue does this every now and then. It gets the gaps start to form in the middle of it.
Any parade ends up with like little gaps and things, but
right. But usually you have somebody there who's, we don't know our route. It's a new parade. It's a different route.
You're just following.
There's just these red shirts, these guys, and they're all fucking drunk and on sugar highs,
full of brownies.
Right, full of brownies. So at one point, like a crew member of mine comes back and he's like, "We have split this parade in half." And because I am so, intoxicated on sugar, I am become convinced in my mind that we have led the entire parade on like a rogue route.
Oh.
Right? And I'm like, "God, man, we are going to look like fools. We're going to be the heels of this entire parade."
No, now you are creating your own destiny. Right?
Yeah, it's a
Fly, Hawkmen!
Come now! Come to find out that's not what happened. We get back on St. Claude, and it's a lot more mellow on St. Claude.
Okay.
It's kind of it starts really fast and furious, and then it kind of mellows out, tapers off into a neighborhood, and it's easier and stuff like that.
You mentioned this to me the other day. You said that it was weird about how like most parades or traditional parades come out of a starting point like in a neighborhood and then end up in downtown and on the big stage.
And that's where the chaos is, and you kind of build to that.
Yeah.
And Chewbacchus did that last year.
Oh, did they?
But this year, for whatever reason, they started at the right near the Crew de Vue Den, and then they marched down Frenchman, and it started big and then kind of tapered off.
They ended up in some space somewhere.
Yeah, down at the end of Poland Street, or down in Poland and by the Industrial Canal. But on the way there, I have to mention this one incident. We had a rocket cycle.
Yeah.
Okay. In the film, Flash Gordon rides a rocket cycle because I guess the Hawkmen have that for people who can't fly.
Well, yeah, they have wings.
Yeah, they have wings, but they have
crappy
a rocket
looking
cycle.
wings, but they have wings.
Well, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's
It just seems like
physics aside.
yeah.
But we had a rocket cycle, and it was powered and everything like that, and it was pretty cool. And Jeremy Abair, I threw the football in the water. He was riding the rocket cycle, and he looked dank as fuck riding that thing. I mean, there's no way you can not just feel tremendous riding this thing, especially if you're a Hawk.
It's a rocket cycle.
It's a rocket cycle.
Is it street legal?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but it's parade street legal.
Okay.
If there's a parade going down the street, it is.
All right.
So he's riding it, and some people in our crew, for reasons I'm not entirely sure of, brought a little 4-year-old girl with them that they pulled along in a wagon that was also like Flash Gordon decorated. And for whatever reason, they always seem to find themselves, even though they were towing this thing at about 2 miles an hour, in front of the rocket cycle, which goes to 4 or 5 to 6 miles an hour. So there were several near misses where this little toddler almost got hit, and a couple of them where the toddler did get hit, or the little cart the toddler was in got hit. So Jeremy Abair was riding the rocket cycle, and he bumped the little cart. Okay? So I'm like, oh, and they're fussing at him, and I'm trying to say, hey, no, it's okay. So we're stopped. And then I kind of hear this, whoa, and this thing behind me, and I just look back. So our little float is made to look like War Rocket Ajax. And at the end of Flash Gordon, there's a scene where they crash War Rocket Ajax into Ming's palace.
Yeah,
there's this great scene where it just comes straight into the camera lens. You just see it go, wow, right? I look back, and it's an exact duplicate of that scene. It's just War Rocket Ajax coming right at me, right?
Right.
And I I push up against it, but Jeremy doesn't see it coming at all, and his leg just goes under it, and then he puts another leg up. And I know every year, maybe it didn't happen this year, but most years, someone either dies or gets maimed on a float. It's just like a thing that happens, right?
I mean, yeah.
It's not even rare. Someone dies on a float a lot.
That's foreshadowing.
So he is under this fucking thing, right?
Okay.
One leg is down, and he
Yeah.
looks at me like, whoa. And this thing weighs like, I don't know, like they say 3,000 pounds. I think that's a lot, but they made it. So I go to like push it off of him, like, get it back. And I go to push it. The entire facade of it is made of like heavy duty styrofoam. So as soon as I go to push it, I just punch a big hole in the middle of this float.
Oh my God.
My hands go through it. I look up at the girl who's driving, my friend Megan, who has been looking all night like Sandra Bullock driving the bus in Speed. All night, because she's got people behind her who power it, and she just can steer it. And she looks scared as shit the whole night.
Right.
I'm like, sorry. And then the leader of our crew comes and like puts it back together and fixes it and everything.
Yeah, but not the part where you punched your hole through the
Yeah,
side.
he I punched such a perfect hole into it that the cardboard just kind of slid
nice.
back into it.
Okay.
But Jeremy's knee was all screwed up, and he had road rage. I mean, road rash.
Road rage.
Road
He had road rage. I'm outraged at this road rage.
I mean, I might have been overreacted because of the sugar high.
Probably.
I might have.
Probably.
But whatever, man. My boy was going down. A
Yeah.
leg was under there.
Yeah.
A guy got drugged to the West Bank like
Yeah,
3 weeks ago, right
that's
by
true.
where I work. So I might have had
Were
like
you thinking about that at the moment?
that and soccer crushes. Like some anxiety was coming out.
Right.
of me.
Like soccer riots and
People getting dragged.
And people getting dragged
and people
across
dying
the
on
bridge.
Mardi Gras floats.
Right. It's
These
not
are
a good
legitimate
thing.
fears.
These are the things. Yeah, they're not only they're true, but they're magnified by
some sugar,
some brownies,
a sugar high.
right? And so you heroically did a Hawkman
Well,
thing.
I guess yeah.
By punching
No,
a
I didn't
hole
do anything
in-
because it was already stopped by the time I pushed it off. But at least that guy, Jeremy Abear, knows if the shit's going down. You know,
Yeah.
I got his back.
I mean, I just think that if you're wearing a costume and you're supposed to be a hero, then you should do something.
Act accordingly.
You should do that. That's almost LARPing right there. And that doesn't even that's another thing that you wanted to get to later. But
Yeah,
that's
I LARPed a little bit this night. Too,
okay. So there was a little LARPing. Good job.
Accidentally.
Good job.
That's what sugar brownies will do. And then that night I had a very good time, and the next day I just wandered around the quarter and went to Molly's and sort of decompressed with my crew. I love the crew of Ragnarok. I had a great experience with them. They're all super cool people and fun. And yeah, we were all just had a little bit of a high the next day just for how much fun we had the night before and
that's
how
good.
everybody bonded, you know.
Was
Mardi Gras parades are fun, especially the marching ones. When you're down, you boots on the ground, you know.
What was the shop open that weekend at all? Or did you?
The shop was open, the whole weekend. The other two Dirty Boys, Jeremy and Robert, were also in the parade. Jeremy almost got ran over,
Right.
and was another Hawkman, and then Robert was Zarkov.
Okay.
We needed a Zarkov.
Yeah.
We had a badass Ming too. If we can put that in the show notes, our Ming was amazing. I saw a guy come up to him, get on his knees in front of him, start doing the worshiping signs, and then after that he did like 10 push-ups in front of him.
Oh my
to
God.
further show his loyalty to him.
Well, that's a
We were a fun crew.
That's good. I didn't get to see any of that stuff. I was uptown. I was boxed in by all the the uptown stuff. So I just walk out to the house and out of the house and go see that stuff, which is fine. Like I feel like Mardi Gras is like this slow build where you have to experience the template parades. Like when you go outside and you look at Oshun, like you're getting like a bare bones representation of what a Mardi Gras parade is supposed to be.
This is like it gets better.
Yeah, but like it's important to go through the process of like saying, getting your feet back on the ground and saying, okay, well, we're going to watch a parade. What happens in a parade? Okay, well, yeah, they have a band, they have a king, they have a float. And
If it's a super crew, they have a truck with lights on
with
it.
the lights on it,
Go
right.
around and around. I meant to tell you that also about Chewbacchus. They have self-proclaimed Superkrewe status also.
Yeah, you can just do that, apparently.
Well, they said they had 2,300 members now instead of the 15.
The paper said they had 1,500 in Chewbacchus.
They, on their personal website or their Facebook page, said they had 22 or 23.
Self-reporting 2,300.
They're self-proclaiming. This is the year of the self-proclaimed Superkrewe.
Okay.
There's so many. I think the Dirty Boys, my gallery, is a Superkrewe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think the Hunker Down cast is a Superkrewe.
How many do we have? 3 most of the time, but it's like,
yeah, that's true. If we get a little,
2 on occasion.
maybe next podcast we'll park a truck with a little rotating light out front, and then we'll be a Superkrewe.
Okay. That's what you do. You're talking about those spotlight trucks, right? The
little lights where you can tell.
So every
back in the day, you'd be like, "That's where the parade."
Every parade that has a spotlight truck in it is a Superkrewe.
It's a sign of a super. I'm not saying that if you get one of those, you're a Superkrewe, but if you don't have one of those, you ain't a Superkrewe.
We might as well talk about this now. The genesis of this what is and what is not a Superkrewe controversy came from Nick's.
Right. Which also chronologically takes us out of the first weekend and into the second weekend.
We can do that if you want to. I mean, I really have said everything I wanted to say about the first weekend anyway. I said that it was nice because Chewbacchus drew away a lot of the crowd. I said that I already told you what I thought of Sparta and Pygmalion. I could bloviate about the different parades that I saw that weekend, but let me just say that, it's nice to see some parades the first weekend. And then you're kind of in the mood to do parades again, and you have your Mardi Gras sea legs under you.
Yeah, you can catch speeds, you can leap for them.
You remember how to do those things, you know? And then you're ready to go.
Woo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You smell the toxic gases coming from them, and then you start to feel in the mood.
That's about right.
You hear some brass bands.
That's about right. Oh wait, no, I did see some interesting things that weekend. I'm sorry. Let me just tell you the things that I saw.
All right. Well, let me get a stool and a chair. A stool and a beer.
Do you want to get a stool and a beer and do that now, or do you want to take a break and do that, or do you want to? All right, go.
Let's talk about your. Let's finish up. Let's get them to the. Let's come back with Nick's.
Okay, so let me say what it was like uptown. I told you just a second ago that Oshun is kind of a starter parade, and then you move into the day parades on Sunday and Saturday, and there was a guy out on the route. What you do on those days is you take a little walk up and down St. Charles, and you try and see who's selling food and how many Chads are out there with their shit, and where it gets really bad. And you just get a feel for what the route's going to be like that year. Like this year, it didn't get especially chattish until you got up above Washington. So you get up above Washington, and the next couple blocks, you've got all the chairs and the tents and things start showing up. So you know where to go and everything. But there was a dude in his driveway on St. Charles at an apartment complex. He was selling like beer out of like an aluminum tub, which is normal. But then underneath the tub, on like a little piece of wood down there, he's got a plastic bag full of like pool balls, like a set of pool balls, and one cue, and it just says it says $60 on the plastic bag, and I go, oh, well, so what he's like, yeah, it's a whole set. So if I could pay you $60 for
2 pool cues and 12.
In
what is it? 18, 14, 15 balls.
Right. He's like, no, well, yeah, but you get the whole set. Get the whole set for $60.
It's the 17-piece set.
Yeah, so it's like the
Uncle Rico.
18-piece set. So that was weird, but
did someone buy it?
I don't know. I didn't get back to him, but that was not the worst thing. Like the next,
how much was it for sale?
$60 for a set of.
That seems a lot for a parade route purchase in a plastic bag.
Yeah, I don't know what. But next to that, he also had a painting. It was either a painting or a photograph of like some nuns in this really garish, like heavy set frame with just like some nuns looking at the wall somewhere.
Okay, interesting.
And
it was this little garage sale on the parade route.
A little garage sale on the parade. So, but those were the only two things. There was the pool set.
He had sold out of everything.
The
else,
pool
obviously.
set and the painting or photo. I couldn't tell which one it was. But I asked him. I said, "Well, hey, what is this? Can you tell me about this?" And he's like, "It's an antique." Well, what else? It's an antique. Okay. You know, he wanted $150 for that, whatever that was. I don't know if that.
And he did sell it.
I didn't. Not to me.
Okay. Obviously, no.
Not to me.
It's an antique, though.
Yeah. So there was
that. A lot of things are antiques these days.
Mm-hmm.
I have antiques in this apartment, probably.
Probably so. I can't really.
My pulpit is probably an antique.
Not the disco ball, I guess.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm not exactly happy about that disco ball.
Oh.
Batteries keep running out.
Oh, I hate when that happens. But anyway, so that was what the scene was like on St. Charles. The parades we saw that weekend were what were they? Pontchartrain. Pontchartrain was number 18 on the list. Pygmalion was number 14. Sparta was number 13. Oshun we had at number 22. Cleopatra was number 21. So, all in the middle of the list, but there was a good
We should go through the list at the end of the show, just so everybody has like a countdown, a VH1 style countdown.
We can do that if people are going to get bored with it, maybe. But
I think sometimes it might help them, and Tim and them can tell me I'm wrong or right, on Twitter, to hear it just read right off from the top to the bottom.
Okay,
just like Casey Kasem used to do back in the day, bro.
Sure,
you can do a long distance dedication if you want.
Sure,
about the dog that dies or whatever.
Sure. Anyway, I think that's everything.
Skooks' top, how many parades?
26.
Skooks' top 26.
26.
So.
That's actually
a unique thing that we can offer Tim and them.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to come back to it later because I do have some more stuff to say about the list. We'll, because I want to tell you about the worst parade, certainly, and then I'll tell you about the best parade.
Did it happen on the
It happened on the first weekend.
Okay, well, let's talk about it now.
You want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's when we come back from break.
Okay.
Be all about that wild run towards Fat Tuesday.
These are some loose ass Freebird podcasts.
We're trying to add some order to it. I think chronological order is important when you're talking about Mardi Gras because it is a very chronological thing.
Okay.
One thing goes into the other almost every time.
Okay.
Here's my tradition here. Here's my tradition there. So on and so forth.
Well, I'll tell you about the last thing I'll tell you about the first weekend was was parade number 26
of 26
on the list.
Y'all about to get burned,
and it's well, no, I don't mean it that way. But the crew of Ferret, they didn't have any riders.
That's understandable.
They're very enthusiastic.
You got to have riders if you're going to be over.
The people who appeared in the parade were very enthusiastic about being there. They had a couple floats with their current king, and then their past king, the past two kings for some reason, and one of which is Councilman Jason Williams, who is always in the parade, and he always is dressed as some kind of he's got his Roman Legion outfit on or something like that. He looks like an idiot, but he was there, and almost nobody else was in the parade, and that's that's a bad thing. I mean to say this, like, I feel sad for them. Like, they have
ghost floats, right?
Yeah, they've got, well, according to the Arthur Hardy Guide, they've got 250 members, which would mean they're about the same size as Oshun. But what Oshun does is Oshun has little floats, and they put all of their people, they have as many floats as they have people for.
They know how to handle a
Ferret,
250-person crew.
Ferret has, I don't know how like Blaine Kern does it or whatever, but they have to rent like a certain number of floats from them in order to have a parade. So they've got all these floats, and some of them are really big, and some of them are kind of small, but lots of them just have like nobody on that side almost. So it's like this
Ah,
like
it
procession
sounds
of empty floats.
awkward.
Yeah,
like
the whole,
you feel awkward seeing it.
it was like when you go and open the party size bag of Zapp's potato chips, like the big party size bag,
And there's just
and you open it and there's like a third of potato chips. Full.
all hot air and
Yeah.
whatnot.
That was
Yeah, it makes it seem like a ship that leaves the dock but comes back just like completely empty.
yeah.
Ghost Mardi Gras.
Yeah. So if you want to join a parade next year, like if you're not riding,
Right.
maybe
Ferret might be.
Ferret could use some help. Is all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I mean, well, yeah.
don't-
How much do you think it would cost to ride in Ferret?
I can't imagine that it costs more than $400. I don't
And then
know.
you need some throws, which would be
Yeah,
another $400.
it depends on how much you want to throw, but and you yeah, I don't know.
$400 is about. I don't really know any of this.
I don't know either.
It's about
So
the bottom of the barrel.
That's actually a guess on my part. Like I
Maybe
had
Tim and them can tell us.
Yeah. Or we could probably look it up. They probably have a website you can just go and look it up for yourself. I know that they're very active in marketing themselves. I see them on Twitter all the time, begging people to be in their parade because clearly they don't have enough people in their parade.
Dang.
But
No way.
it was a sad little thing. But yeah, anyway. Definitely not a
Come
super
on,
crew.
crew of Ferret. We're pulling on for you, man. Get pat. Well, what's number 25?
Oh, you want to
Just for fun. Even
Okay.
if it's
Oh,
if
okay.
it's the first, if it's the second weekend,
It's
it'll
a
be preview.
first weekend. Number 25
Okay.
is Allah.
Oh man, why are you hating on the West Bank, bruh?
Well, for one thing, I'm already sad because I don't want the West Bank parades on St. Charles. I think the West Bank parades ought to be on the West Bank.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
And so you're already kind of like feeling bad in the first place, but
'Cause
also
they're away from home.
Yeah.
Like,
also it was a lame ass parade. They were like I think that half their floats were like, you know, those Coast Guard boats that come down the street.
yeah.
And-
It's always just like go take a piss. The Coast
Yeah.
Guard thing is coming.
It was a lot of that. There was a lot of that in their parade. I think was Billy Nungesser in that one?
I don't know.
Let me see.
You don't think you see him though? He's
No,
another one of
I
those Rob
definitely
Ryan
saw.
type people.
He was either in that one or in. I'll find out for you right now. Billy Nungesser is Grand Marshal of Choctaw. So, all right, well,
Oh.
it's fine.
All right.
Well, by the way, Choctaw was number 24. So,
West Bank Parade's not
West Bank
putting up
Parade.
a good showing. Where was Cleopatra?
they were higher because I think those were a night parade and they were a little bit more fun. They were 21.
Oh God,
Yeah.
we didn't even break the top 20.
No,
I don't know why I still identify with
It's
West Bank.
this. First of all, this is a very subjective listing.
Sure.
But it's just based on like what you expect of the parades. Like Oshun is better than Ferret because Oshun handles they're more, they play to their own strengths, whereas Ferret is too big for its own britches a little bit.
Right. And that's yeah.
And all the West Bank
insulting to
parades
you.
on St. Charles shouldn't be in there in the first place.
Well, just think about
nothing against them, but they should be on the West Bank.
if Allah was Allah used to be the big ass parade for the West Bank. Just think about how pitiful that was.
That's right.
That
Well,
used to be. It used to go right down Franklin Avenue. I saw it on the West Bank way back in the day.
I imagine
I
that
guess
in its
10 years ago, 9 years ago,
I imagine that in its context, it flourishes more.
over on the West Bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Wow.
Whereas now the people of the West Bank are sad they have no Allah, and the people who are on St. Charles who have to watch Allah are a little bit sad that it's there. So
Oh man.
that's my story. I'm a dick about Mardi Gras.
No, I like
That's-
it. That was great.
This is not how I thought this would go. by
That
the
point,
way.
no, that point was driven home.
I feel like I'm saying shitty
Well, look,
things
Mardi
about
Gras-
all the parades,
Mardi
and
Gras
that's
is a manic thing, man.
that's not how I felt about being out of the parades. Just for anybody,
I tried to tell people this year because I hang out with a lot of people who are post Katrina transplants or who just come in for Mardi Gras. There's a couple of my friends who I only see at Mardi Gras time. They come every year, and it's nice to sort of see them notice the nuances about parades, about the differences of floats or the differences of bands or who's in what or the differences of throws. So it's nice to hear somebody who's seen them all and likes to comment about it. So
yeah, I think I might
don't
be
get
paying
self-conscious about it.
a little too much attention to it, but that's what I.
Well, there's a lot of fucking nuances to it.
There
so
is.
it's cool to notice. It's like a giant. You could look at it as a giant piece of art. The whole festival from beginning to finish with a lot of artists contributing.
And
more about that when we get back.
We've only gotten through the beginning of it, so we're gonna cut this here, and then we'll come back and see if we can get to some of the highlights.
BRB, y'all.
All right.